Welcome to Learn to Sew with Kelly Boss. Let's get started with our circle skirt. So I started here with a yard and a little over a quarter of fabric. Okay. And what I've done is I folded it in half the long way. And so that makes sure that all the salvage edges are together and that we have a fold here and we have two folded edges here. So you just fold it in half. I took her waist and added 2, so 24 plus 2 is 26. I divided that by 6.28, and her waist is about 4.14 as it relates to a circle that we're trying to make. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm starting right here in the corner where the folds all meet. I'm taking my ruler and 4.14. I don't get into a big thing with these numbers here, not for a circle skirt. So I will give her about 4.25 here, or 4.5, just to keep this really simple. So with my tip of my ruler at the top, I am going to measure 4.5 down. I'm going to move my ruler, keep it right at the top, 4.5 down, move my ruler, keep it right at the top, 4.5 down, dark here. Move my ruler to the other end, keeping the end to the top, 4.5 down. Now this is important for my students who are beginners. It is very important that the tip of this ruler is right at the tip of your fabric, okay? And right at the point again, think of geometry. If you started geometry already in school, it's very important. So, not sure if my camera is going to pick it up, but I have a few dots here that I made. And now I'm going to take my chalk, and you're going to use chalk. And if you don't have tailored chalk, it is okay. I use the same thing as regular school chalk, okay, because it all washes and wipes away. All right. So, can you see that circle there that I've made? Right there. That is the beginning of her skirt. Always measure twice, cut once. So I want to double check and make sure I'm at 4.5 here, 4.5 here, 4.5 here. I'm going to grab my shears. And this is why it's very important that you're cutting on these folds, because once you cut this out, cut your circle out. I have to get my shears sharpened. Sharpened in half. And you want to cut your circle out carefully. And this is a circle skirt for no matter what size that you are making. Okay, so for a little child or an adult. And we have a circle. You can have length from her waist down to about her knee. Is approximately 18 inches long. Okay, so from my circle now, where I have cut out, I'm going to measure approximately 17 inches for her, and I'm going to tell you why, really quickly why. 2, sometimes in sewing you can tweak certain things for length. You might want it shorter or longer, but also once I add the waistband here, which are probably another 3 or 4 inches up, the skirt will become a little longer. So 17 inches is good enough for this little girl. And I'm going to do the same thing I did at the top. I'm going to keep my ruler right at the tippity top, and I'm going to mark at 17, stay at the top, mark at 17, okay? Stay at the top, very top. It's important you stay at the top, because if you don't, when you cut this, it won't be straight. And we'll come to the end and we'll stay at the top. So, measure again. Now, what you want to do is you want to come a little closer than I did in the measuring. So don't leave big gaps like I did, okay? And make as many dots as you can. And then what you're going to do is you're going to connect the dots with your chalk, okay? Try to make it dark so you can see. And begin to connect again on our new line, which, if you can see, I bet you can see it already, starting to see a gray. Oh, I have to get my shears sharpened. Sorry for these jagged edges. Let me grab another shear here. And we're going to go all the way around. You turn your skirt. One of the things I always tell my students, they try to bend their elbows, and I say, the fabric turns. So it's okay to move your fabric. There's my little piece of the trim that I said was there, but I promise you when we're done, you won't even see that. It'll be somewhere in the hem. And voila! There is your circle. You see it? Perfect. And the great thing is, let's begin to open it up and out. And with your measurements perfect, you have a perfect circle all the way around. Looks like a big donut. And then I'll show you how you add your waistband, how we're going to hem, and how you'll have a circle skirt for every day of the week. Okay, so welcome back. I wanted to bring you to my ironing board really quickly because now that the skirt is cut out, this is where the fun begins, and it's probably the most time-consuming of the entire project, okay? So what I did first, if you can take a peek here, I actually went to my serger first, and I serged the ends. If you don't have a serger, don't worry about it. You can simply put a zigzag stitch on your machine and go all the way around. Or you don't have to do that. You can leave the raw edges, and as you fold, you would tuck. So, but for the ease of this skirt, I chose this way. Now, what you want to do, because a circle does not bend, so it's not a square or rectangle, you have to go section by section, taking your time, and fold up the hem. Now, for my newer students, I am being a very bad example right now because I should have my little ruler to measure all the way around. But for my more advanced students, we can kind of eyeball it. But what you would like to do to make sure that your hems are straight, have a little ruler, okay? And they have special ones, but take your little ruler. And this is about a quarter of it. This is about can't even read my ruler. This is about a 1/2 inch seam, okay? So every so often, you just want to take your ruler and make sure that you're still providing a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch hem, okay? Every so often, you want to measure. I'm going to do that again in case my hands are in the way of the camera. And so you just want to measure all the way around, really simply. And then take your time just going around the skirt because, like I said, it's not a square, so it may not bend correctly. So you want to bend it, and you might get a little pucker in there, and that's okay. When you get to the machine, it will all balance out because you, too, are going to sew on a curve, okay? So as you can see here, as I'm moving forward to help you out a little, I'm turning up. And there's the there's the serger. And I also, since I have you here, I serged the middle of the circle as well. So I'm going to finish going around and simply turning up. And for those of you that do not have a serger or do not want a zigzag stitch, this still applies. All you have to do is once you make your first hem, you go ahead and you tuck this piece under and you press again so you have a very narrow hem, okay? And I may or may not do that. Sometimes when I'm sewing, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So for now, go ahead and finish pressing and be right back. All right, here, welcome back. So I wanted to take you on the hemming phase. And as you see here, I'm keeping my fabric right on the end of my pressure foot. There's my turned hem. And let me just take you back here. And as you can see, I'm doing a double stitch here. Get this in zoom for you. And there are 2 stitches right there, side to side, because I am using a twin needle. And a twin needle, you can see that, sews at the same time with 2 pieces of thread. The reason I'm doing that is because I want the needle to catch as close to the edge here, but also on the other side. And I just like that it looks better with a double stitch more so than a single stitch. It's just a preference. If you do not have a double needle, do not worry about it. Go ahead and just stitch. All right, so here we are, and I have hemmed the bottom of my skirt, turned over 1 time, or you could turn it twice, but can you see it coming together? So the last step now, because we've already cut, you hear my puppy in the background, you already cut you've already hemmed, you've already pressed, and now there's the waistband. And the only decision you need to make with the waistband is, are you going to use the remaining remnants of your fabric to make it? Or are you going to get a contrasting fabric? Or are you just going to put a basic elastic? So I'll be right back and we'll figure out what we're going to put in here for a waistband. Almost done. Okay, so we're on our waistband right now, and what I want you to do is set your stitching to the largest base stitch on a straight stitch, and we're just going to baste around the edge of the waistband, the upper part, the last circle we're working on, keeping the foot right on the edge. You don't need to worry about it because nobody's going to see this. This is why we're actually doing it so close to the edge. Do not back tack here. You need these strings to hang. So when you lift your pressure foot, clear your needle. When you pull, you want to try to leave as much string as possible onto the garment so that you can gather. And I cut it into a strip the length of her waist, which was approximately 25 inches. And then I folded it in half, and I had sewn just to make a band. So all you're going to do is make a band. Think that when you're making a waistband, it is simply a band. And now we went ahead and we gathered the top of the skirt right here. So now what I'm going to do is lay the skirt out. And as you can see, the waistband is larger than the skirt. It's not reaching. So we need to make the skirt reach end. And how we do that is with our 2 strings that we gathered. And it's a very gentle process, but it shouldn't take that long because it's not that much room that you have to gather. And you pull, and see it? And you pull the fabric down. And you pull the string, and you pull the fabric down gently. Imagine your clothes, if you had a clothesline or a hanger, and you're making room for the other pieces of garments that you have, and you would slide it down, and slide everything down the hanger, and make room. And so you want to just gather this up neatly all the way around so that it's pretty even. It shouldn't take that much. I mean, I'm already there. It's already matching with a few little gathers. The only thing is you just want to get the gathers on the other side. It's not hard, I promise you. Just take your time, and I'll do a tutorial on gathering. What we've done is we have gathered. And remember, we pulled our string to make the little gathers inside of our skirt. And the reason we did that is because we needed the skirt to fit the waistband. And I decided to use elastic instead of using the contrasting fabric. And also with the elastic, it gives a lot more, it's a lot more ease, and it feels good. And then it allows someone to put a belt or their own accent on the top. So I'm going to go to my machine, keeping my pressure foot on the 3/8, and I'm going to sew all the way around and come right back. Look at you making it. And right on the 3/8, remove your pins. Remember to remove your pins, or take very good care when going over them so you don't break your needle. And I'm going to continue around very carefully, staying on my 3/8 until I get to the end. So a few pointers when sewing elastic. You want to make sure that you're catching everything down below underneath, but not that it's balled up. And also, while you're sewing, so I can do this at the same time with you, is you want to give the elastic just a very gentle stretch while sewing. Not a hard stretch, it's just a very light amount of a stretch. And finished. Back tap. And the other important thing is you want to do this on a zigzag stitch. You never want to sew elastic on a straight stitch because it pops. So always do it on your lowest zigzag setting. And I'm like on a 2.5. But your lowest zigzag setting. Alrighty. Right, so here we are. And we have our skirt all nice and finished here. Let me see if I can give you a great little view. And I'll take pictures at the end. And this is what you've created here. Thanks for hanging out with Kelly Boss. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial of the circle skirt as much as I have. You may find us on Instagram and Facebook at She Is Kelly Boss. Thanks for hanging out and have fun sewing.